An Augusta County Board of Supervisors member explained and defended the county's decision to cancel a Pride event at the library. Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. So I'll give credit to Butch Wells. Butch is a soon-to-be former member of the Board of Supervisors. He's going to be transitioning. He's running for a seat on the school board, and he's unopposed. So he'll be on the school board next year. And he's also the former Stanton police chief. Credit to Butch, though, for reaching out. I wrote a column earlier this week blasting the county board of supervisors, and deservedly so, for canceling a Pride event at the library because they found out that this Pride event was going on at the library and didn't want it to go on at the library. Um, we had reached out, Crystal Graham had reached out to each of the members of the Board of Supervisors individually last week when we found out that this was going on, to ask each individually if they would respond with their thoughts on this. None wanted to. The board ended up deciding to put a statement out speaking as one voice. As it turns out, Butch wanted to respond. He just sort of had to get outside from that speaking as one voice. So he reached out to me. He didn't like that I called board members cowards. I guess I kind of egged him on a little bit there. And so that was good, you know. And then he spent 20 minutes going through the decision here. So I mean, that's where I'll give him credit. Where I won't give him credit, I didn't like the answers. But hey, he gave the answers. At least now we know there's no, it's not just a canned PR thing. There are real answers. Um, and so let's see. It's not easy. And I just this is me again trying to give Butch even more credit, I guess. It's not easy in Augusta County to come out from outside of the speak with one voice motif that we've had here for the last 30 years. I've been covering local government and politics for 30 years here. Um, so, credit there. Maybe made easier by the fact he's going to be stepping down from the board in January. He also let it be known, this is another way I was kind of egging people on a little bit. I had gotten a phone call a couple months ago now from a well politically connected person in Augusta County, who was taking issue with me writing on a consistent basis that our seven-member board of supervisors here is all MAGA. And this person insisted to me that at least three of them aren't MAGA. And Butch decided to say, "Look, I'm one of those non-MAGAs." So I guess in the future I'll have to say a 6-1 MAGA board and tell if there are two others they can identify themselves. But it's also not easy to just come out and say to a reporter, "I'm not MAGA," in a county that voted 70+% for Donald Trump last year. And it voted for Donald Trump 70% plus all three times he ran for president. I mean, that's saying a lot. All right, on the Pride event. This Pride event had been scheduled for this past Monday. In fact, after it was canceled by the library folks late Thursday night last week, so just 4 days before the planned event, it was then picked up by a private group and still went on, just not at the library. But you know, the whole thing, the county wanting to distance itself from Pride, not 9%. We're told by polling and census data that 9% of our country is LGBTQ plus. 9% of Augusta County is that it'd be about 7,000 people. I mean, so you're turning your nose to 7,000 people and just basically saying, we no, can't do anything for you at the library. Um, the way Wells explained how this decision was made, he said he got a call late Wednesday, so the day before the decision was made to cancel the event. So just a day before, um, that this event was going on. Didn't even know the event was going on. He said, and kind of made it sound like he and the other board members were left out of, almost like the library people intentionally didn't tell anybody what was going on. Problem with that being, uh, Augusta Free Press ran a story on June 4th, so a full week before the board members were said they were made aware of the event. We ran a story detailing lots of events going on in the area for Pride Month, and that was one of the events. So just because you didn't know doesn't mean they weren't telling anybody. A lot of folks knew, just you folks weren't in the realm there. For that's probably your fault, not their fault. Um, so what Butch said, quote, "One of the board members called me about it. I said, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm the vice chair of the board. So I immediately got on the phone and called the chairman. I said, "Tell me about this thing that's going on at the library." Nothing. He knew nothing about it. That's 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 your fault. That's your fault. Um, I will say that after the conversation, it made me think I probably need to submit a Freedom of Information Act request, FOIA request, to the county to try to get access to emails and text correspondence between BOS members and the county administration on this, because it seems like to me, I just would like to know. I'd like to know what was being said behind the scenes, and it's, I mean, it's our right to know what our leaders are saying about these things, because this wasn't something that was dictated from an official meeting. There was no vote taken. It was just, behind the scenes, phone calls, emails, texts, whatever. So it needs to be out in the open, what the actual discussions were. Now, I will point out that Wells, on more than one occasion on our phone call, kept referring to the matter as a personnel matter. So it makes me think that the response from the county is probably going to be along the lines of, we don't have to tell you. We don't have to give the information to you. They'll be basically daring me to file a court claim, and I will do so. I've done it before. So we'll see how that goes. Lots of fun coming up for me, it sounds like. All right, so to this substance, what's the issue here? Why? Okay, there's a Pride Month. There was a Pride Month celebration scheduled at the Augusta County Library this past Monday. Why is it an issue? Is it just because it's a Pride Month event celebrating the LGBTQ plus community in the area? The issue with for Wells, he said it wasn't that it was celebrating the local gay community. It was, quote, the possibilities of something going wrong. Okay. So, quote, has nothing to do with the LGBT community, he said, from my perspective, other than the fact that it's a hot button topic. Okay, so the LGBTQ plus community is a hot button topic. Not just in our area, he said, but all over the place, all over the state, all over the country. We also know that it goes beyond local people anymore to try to maybe do something of a violent nature. He said people are driving 50 miles, 75 miles, 100 miles, even farther to create trouble at an event of this type. So it sounded here as we talked that what Wells was saying was the library shouldn't have a Pride Month event because LGBTQ plus hate groups from outside the area might drive here to commit acts of violence. I pressed him on that. I wanted to, hey, this is what I'm hearing you say, Butch. I want to, give you the chance to say something. The answer was, quote, our society, and ever since the election, our whole country has changed dramatically. It's not what it used to be even 2 years ago, Wells said. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of who got elected or who was president before and all that stuff. But things have gotten in such a volatile stage that you've got to be sure, or try to be as sure as you can, to include as many people in the planning for an event that could go south real quick, in order to ensure the safety of not only the participants but bystanders who might happen by. The library's got people who come in to check out books, so yeah, I can understand that. All right. So again, it was the concern that the event, just by being an event for Pride Month to celebrate the local LGBTQ plus community, might attract violent actors. People with bad intentions, with guns, might show up. So cancel the event is what it sounds like to me. Now, I mentioned that Butch Wells is a former police chief in the city of Stanton. He said, I guess it's the old police officer in me coming out. I was often accused of, you're overreacting. Okay, you can accuse me of that, he said. But if something goes south and I don't have the people there, or if have the feedback to have handled this correctly, it'll come back to me, he said. Sorry for the cough there. And so you can criticize me all you want for being overly cautious, but you'll never be able to criticize me for not being prepared. So, okay, he wanted to be prepared. Wells said as he learned more about the event planning, he was concerned that library staff had not reached out to the sheriff, Donald Smith, to coordinate in the event that there could be violence. Now, to be fair there, I'm not sure myself that it should occur to a library director planning an event advertised as featuring. Now, this was what was in the flyer for the event. It was going to feature a name change station, a board and video game room, a craft room, a red carpet photo booth, collaborative splatter art, melted crayon art, mocktails, a cookie swap, a movie screening, and laser tag. So I'm not thinking that I'm advertising this event. I should call the cops. Um, because hate groups might use this benign, innocent event to cause trouble. Wells said, if nothing else, pick up the phone and check with the sheriff. I checked with the sheriff. I checked with the chief deputy. I said, did either one of you guys get a call about this? Nope, nothing. And he said, okay, that's fine. So again, AFP had reported on this event a week before Wells said that the phone call started among the members of the Board of Supervisors about the concerns that they had for this event. So it seems to me, after talking with Butch Wells, and again, I thank him for explaining the thinking, because the county wanted to hide behind a PR statement, which said nothing. So at least we know the real thinking. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on Butch here. I really am thankful that he explained. Just because I don't agree with his reasoning doesn't mean that, we're very glad to know what was going on there. It seems to me, though, that the library proceeded as it normally would with planning an event. And somebody who has a political axe to grind with the LGBTQ community, and I'm not saying that's Butch Wells. I don't think it's Butch Wells. I know, I know it's not Butch Wells. But somebody got the attention of the right people in county leadership, and they got the event canceled. So someone else with a political axe to grind used fear tactics to get the county to cancel the event. I don't doubt that Wells thinks that there were security issues that needed to be addressed. I can kind of see that. All right, now that you've mentioned it, yeah, let's maybe have a deputy there, and that's the easy solution. Last Wednesday, the board members started calling each other and saying, "Hey, did you know about this?" Okay, that was 5 days before the event was to go off on Monday, this past Monday. If the concern about the need for security was identified on Wednesday and the event was scheduled 5 days later, maybe work with the sheriff's department to see if they can assign a deputy or two. That seems like an easy solution. Maybe even you just throw in, okay, the sheriff is independently elected and has a budget that the county provides some money towards, the state provides some money towards. If the sheriff says, yeah, I might have to put a couple of guys on overtime to do this. All right, so we'll put some money towards it. Or let the library say, we'll take money from our budget that's approved and we'll put the money towards it. There's easy solutions here. There's aside from canceling the event, which is a different solution. So I think the county dropped the ball on this, and my view on that was only reinforced after talking with Butch Wells. And again, I thank him for sharing. He concluded his thoughts. He said, and this is a quote: "It's not on me to say, hey, we made a goof. If we made a goof, we put it behind us. We reform or write a policy. We whatever we got to do to correct this. But we've got to make sure if something like this is submitted in the future that it goes smooth. And if in the future it's determined that the way society is, if we have a Black History Month event, for example, the county, we need to sit down and talk about how to make sure we're doing the best we can to make things safe for everybody. I think that's fair. I think they could have started here by simply saying on Thursday or Friday of last week, let's quickly figure this out, and it's not going to take that much. So, any case, share your thoughts, share your ideas. Hey, if you have news tips, we're getting lots of good news tips these days and tracking them down. Feel free to email me at chris@augustafreepress.com. You can also email Crystal Graham at crystal@augustafreepress.com and our staff writer Rebecca Barnaby at rebecca@augustafreepress.com. We're all waiting to hear what you have ready for us to look into. And this important issue, among others, definitely deserves the attention. So, hey, thanks for watching this video. Thanks for listening to this podcast, and I wish everyone a great day.